I have discovered the regularity appears also in them, and it's better to see the patterns. For us and for our brain, it's much easier to find patterns in the irregularity than learning something in alphabetic order, because our eyes and our brain is always searching for patterns. So you will see now, after my first slide, how this is addressed. The irregular verbs, they do 8 different irregularities, and remember that you can find them at the back or at the end of the books. For example, Grammar in Use book from Cambridge, or even Oxford books. Any English book that you have at home probably have the irregular verbs. I'm sure you have seen them before. These PowerPoint, it's basically for basic people, but also people with intermediate level can get some benefits from this PowerPoint. This is very simple, but I really like it because this is the way that I have been always explaining, and I think it really have an impact in the memory of my coachy people. So the first group, let's call them the ones that they do different in where? In the 3 different columns, yes? So we have, for example, here the verb to be, we have the verb to do, and I will share later in the next slide, I will show you the examples. But let's say that they are different because they are really overused in the language and they need to vary a lot. This is the example of verb to be, which later you will see. And they are the red group. The next group, I call them the yellow ones. They do the same. They do exactly the same thing in the base form, in the past, and in the participle. For example, in here we have put. We have also let. We have also hit. All those verbs that do exactly the same thing, even infinitive, to put, to hit, yes, to let. Another one is this one that I call the orange group. They do the past different. When I say past, I mean the second column, right? So for example, in here, it appears to come, yes? So we have come, came, come. I have to say here, be careful, because I know that Spanish people have learned them by heart and just by the way that they look on the paper. So most of us, we learn them by saying come, come, come. What's the problem with that? The problem is that at the end, instead of saying come, we say come. And it's not come, it's come. It's an a, although you write an o. Yes, be careful with that. Another group is the ones, I love these ones, they do I-A-U in the writing, in the spelling. So they varied the vowel. For example, in here we have sing, sang, sung. And I say sang, although it's written with U. Remember that although you write an U, it is said with an A sound. Yeah? Next group, I call them the natural one. Why are they natural ones? And they are obviously in green color. Because they do as the regular verbs. The natural way of doing is past and participle must be the same, yes? So if they are the same in past and participle, they're very similar to the regular verbs, yes? So for example, in this group, you can divide them into those who are, for example, have, had, yes? But also those that do EE and EE in the first base form and an infinitive, for example, to meet, but then in the past and the participle, they do only one E. So, and it sounds like E. For example, you say to meet, met, yes? Or to keep, kept. All those ones that are doing this variation, I recommend you putting them in the same group, yes? Although they are natural as have, had, but try to keep them in the same group and close together so you can remember them better and easier. The next group, these ones are doing also the same in the past and in the participle, but they are written with this spelling that is sometimes very confusing for people, and some of them do O-U-G-H-T and others do A-U-G-H-T. T. So as you can see, the only difference is the O and the A. Be careful with this because the pronunciation is the same. You say ought, ought. For example, you say brought, but you also say taught. Yeah, and be careful with taught because it's coming from teach, but don't confuse taught with touched. Yes, the past of the verb touch, que es tocar, es un verbo regular, tocar es un verbo regular, that does touch, and in the past does touched, actually ending in T, the sound, because the sound CH, when you add an ED, because it has no vibration, the ED sounds like T, so the regular verb touch does touched in the past and in the participle. Careful with that, yes, because taught is similar, but it's not pronounced the same, although it looks like kind of very similar to touch. Careful with that. So it's more similar to the sound when you say Tot, el dios egipcio Tot, yes? We move to the next one. Ends. Well, these are the ones that are the previous one were those that are black or gray, yes, and these ones are purple, and this purple color, you add an N to the base form, but in order to create the past participle. For example, you say drive, drove, driven. Yes, can you see that I have taken drive, I have added an N, and I have created the past participle. In the center, in the column of the center, it appears drove, because usually what changes the vowel, and the vowel goes darker. We could say this goes darker, it goes in the OU sounds. So drive, drove, driven. In the next group, you will see that it's basically the same, but instead of taking the base form in the first column, I take the second column and then I add an N, and then is when the past participle is created. So for example, here we have break, broke, broken. Break, broke, broken. Can you see that I have taken the past, broke, and I have added an N, and then it appears the past participle. So as you can see, these are the 8 different irregularities. I'm going to show you now the examples very quickly. I have already said, but why is the verb to be in all its forms so different? Because it's overused. We use them a lot, yeah, and it's one of the most important ones. So to be, not even the infinitive is the same with the base form. As you can see, the base form, well, actually the base form is be, for example, will be, right? But the present is am and are. And the past is was and were, and the past participle is been. Another example, I have already said, to let for the yellow one. To come, came, come. Careful with the pronunciation of that. That O is a, as well as when you say done, I've done it. You don't say done, you say done. Yes, careful with that, because I have done also those. I have done also those kind of mistakes before. To sing, sang, sang, in the pink one. To meet, met, met. Remember, like keep, kept, all those ones. I'm not giving you all because I want you to do your part, yes. So that's why I'm not giving you all the verbs, but I'm showing you an example, and then you have to go and find them on your own. To bring, brought, as I told you. Here inside in the black ones or gray ones, it is where it goes also the teach, taught, yes. To drive, drove, driven. You can see perfectly here how it goes. You can see that, right? And the last one, to break, broke, broken. So these are the examples, and now the practice. What do you have to do? Take the list of irregular verbs. If you don't have it, write me at analanguagecoach@gmail.com, and I'll share them with you, and then you will have the material to perform this practice. Study them using the different colors and spot their differences. It's very important that you take a moment and study. And how do you study? By memorizing patterns. In this case, it's about looking for patterns. It's actually very nice. You can enjoy also by looking the patterns in the regular verbs. And then we have cut them in rows and place them in the right place. When I say cut them in rows, I mean in tiras, ¿vale? So you cut them after you have been coloring them with the right colors, and then you separate them on the table and you create the 8 different groups. And the last thing is to place them using an organizer box with 8 departments to memorize them. And in this case, if you use this technique, I can guarantee you that you will learn them very quickly. You can use them also with your kids, with your nephews and nieces. You can teach also, if you are a teacher, you can use this technique with your students. I have been using it and I know that people like it a lot. And if you liked this video, please share it, say you like it, subscribe to my channel, and enter in my website, analanguagecoach.com. And also, if you want to know more about my professional career, find me in LinkedIn. There you can find everything. You can find also my newsletter. You can find the articles that I write, and remember that in my website you can also find podcasts. So I hope that these have been helpful. I talk to you soon. Bye.